What we're going to do is take you to 2025. So we will show you a video of Tech Chem and HR in 2025, and all of us will be transported to 2025. And then in the presentation, we will tell you our call for action for all of you in this year, which is 2019. So we'll look behind and see what we did in 2019 that really got us to 2025. So that's the way we will plan it. So let's see the videos, and we will make sure that it's an interesting session for all of you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the function in 2025. But it's very important to see what is our call for action. What is the big and bold bets that we've taken in 2019 that will make 2025 a reality? So as we look back, what do we see? We see that we killed the traditional HR function in the year 2019. And what you see as a people function is actually a combination of the erstwhile HR, leadership development, training, and RMG. And this function is an integrated function. And what happened here, the first thing that we did was we broke silos, build an agile people team around employee experiences. What does it mean? It means no longer people belong to specific functions in HR or sub-functions. They belong to experiences, which means there is an induction experience team. So anybody who's from anywhere belongs to that team. And therefore, we reduce the numbers significantly. There are still some center of excellences, but really the HR team is now only 60 people with about 200 robos working for us. And therefore, we reduced our C&B costs considerably. We have atomized work to the lowest level. And all the non-value added work that happens is automized through intelligent automation. And therefore, way back in 2018-19, we used to spend a lot of time in transactional activities. But we used intelligent automation to do away with them. And therefore, our workforce is such a small one now, which is just 60 to cater for such a large business of $10 million that we do. More importantly, we believed in this. We simplified workflows, so no complications anymore. And while we used technology to help us, we remembered one thing, that all movements of truth are still human. So technology remains an enabler, but we remained and retained our human employee-centered approach way back in 2019. And that was a big differentiator. So what happened?
Harsh,
We improved.
if you remember, Harsh, Warren here. Hey. If you remember, way back in 2019, we spent a lot of time and efforts, doing all these transactions of raising shared services tickets, emails and all that. I think with this itemized work atmosphere, ecosystem, what we created, I think all of our work is now done by intelligent robots and bots, what we created, what we call as cobots. I think that is truly amazing.
Yeah, that's true. Thanks for reminding me, Varun. So that made a big difference. That's true. So we don't have human doing all the work anymore. So we have a team which has humans, which is only 60, and we have 200 cobots or robots doing the work. So this is what happened. We improved productivity by 60% and reduced cost by 40%. And that was a big, big step way back in 2019. This is important, ladies and gentlemen, from a business perspective. And I wear my, what I used to do earlier in my business hat. We stayed ahead of the curve. So what does it mean? We tracked and sensed new possibilities in emerging technologies and built readiness. So while way back in 2018 we used to chase blockchain, AI, and make people ready for them, we now have a sensing term, which means we see market trends, and therefore we prepare our people for new technologies faster than our competition can. And therefore, one, we make all of us more competitive when we approach. So people are ready for the new technologies, and we don't wait for the new technologies to come in and a competition to take the first move. So that was the first thing that we did. This is important. We build an agile organization structure and a network of empowered teams. So what we did is we said people don't belong to projects, but they're agile. So anybody who needs people from anywhere can transfer. And the Talex helped us a lot in this too. But clearly, we don't have people only belonging to a project. So if a customer needs 3.5 work days, he can have it. So you don't have to allocate 4 people for a job which just needs 3.2 or 3.3. They are applicable and they are multitasking to be in various projects. And this is something that way back CP used to talk about in 2018, saying when we do a project, who decides how many people go there? The project manager or the program manager. And it's almost out of a hat. So we now have, ladies and gentlemen, an algorithm, an atom is just people, to calculate the required resources for projects. So it is not that somebody breaks out of a hat and says we need 10 people. We actually tell how many people we need. And this has made our CNB costs come down, our projects more competitive, and therefore we are winning a lot more projects in the business today. We made careers and learning self-driven. It is no longer, people are not forced into training rooms or learning centers. It's like way back you remember in 2018, many years ago, we had this Coke machine where you can choose your own formula. Here you have choice to get future ready. Each individual drives this himself or herself. And I think that made a massive change from where we thought we were earlier.
You're absolutely right, Harsh. As I remember in 2019, and there are maybe few folks in the auditorium who also remember 2019, maybe Simi, Atul, Riaz. Reskilling and future skilling was one of the biggest focus area we had to keep our people relevant. And today, in 2025, we have got AI-based, self-driven learning models. We have enabled the complete learning ecosystem with best-in-class partnerships and platforms. So a long way we have come.
Oh, that's right, Vishali. Thanks for reminding me. So yes, now the people function actually wants the people to do their own training, learning, and career. So we have given the tools, but people drive it, and I think that made a huge difference. So what happened? Because of this, 95% of our talent needs are now met internally. And therefore, it's faster, it's at less cost, and again, makes us a lot more competitive than we ever were. The third thing that we did is we hyper-personalized. We believed in 2019, the first change that we have to do is we have to make n is equal to 1, which basically means that for each associate everywhere in the world, the experience of HR, whether it's career, rewards, compensation, has to be unique. We don't have policies that are just blasted for everybody. Depending on the realities of region, and Dhanishri, we spoke way back in 2019 that this is an important thing to do. We need to cater and make us more agile in those regions. Therefore, hyper-personalization was a major step we took in 2019 as part of what we wanted to do in HR. A big shift happened. No more one-time appraisals. We switched in 2019 to real-time performance check-ins and personalized coaching. Again, real-time. So CTL doesn't have to wait for his people and do their appraisals once a year. In 2019, Krishna Bala could ask and ping CTL whenever he wanted a performance check-in. It could be once a month, it could be twice a month, it could be once in a quarter. But this was real time. And therefore, the feedback that CTL could give Krishna Bala was also real time. And coaching made us more agile and better at delivering what the customer wanted. So we did not wait for one particular date where everything was happening. We made work meaningful for alternate workforce. 60% of our workforce in 2019 is not permanent. We have gig workforce. We have part-time workers. We reduced our CNB again massively because we don't have to have people. And that day, I still remember when we took this decision that gig force, alternate force would make a major part of our workforce. Therefore, no permanent members. We don't have to invest yearly costs and statutory costs. We just have to pay when we need those people. And since 60% of our workforce is alternate workforce, we became really, really sharp and hugely competitive vis-a-vis competition. So therefore, this resulted in best retention in the industry because people got really cool jobs. And since there were a few people only, they could be grown very, very fast. And finally, the fourth thing that we did is we created future-focused leadership. We identified critical and emerging roles that will create value. It was very clearly defined across the world, across levels, across bands, across geographies. We then linked roles to future-ready talent people, workforce, who were force multipliers. And way back in 2019, the real guys with right attitude, right skill set, and right energy got the roles they really wanted. And Talix helped again in identifying what those roles, etc., were. We also created an ecosystem to spot potential combinations of new technology. So we had an ecosystem where people could experiment. People could fail. I still remember a conference in early 2019. I don't know if you guys remember it. It was called Orbit, where we discussed that we didn't have really a culture of allowing people to fail, allowing people to experiment. And therefore, this was a big change that we did in 2019 as part of the agenda of HR. This would not have been enough had we not done the most important thing, which is create highest value per associate. We did not talk about highest revenue. I remember again that we talked about the triple P, which was so important for TechM. We created a fourth P. The fourth P is purpose. And we calculated value with 4 Ps. And we said our associates create the highest value vis-a-vis everybody else in the competition.
Harsh, one of the points that I would like to bring about here, and I'm sure BK over there would agree with me, that back in 2019, we used to struggle a lot with our appraisal processes and performance feedback also. So right now in 2025, we have not only completed appraisal processes on time, but we are also providing immediate performance coaching suggestions for our associates to achieve those goals. So I think that's an important point there, which we have achieved in 2025.
Yeah, that's right, Shahid. That's right. And we said that, and I think that was clearly an essential point, an essential change, because people now get real-time feedback. But last but not the least, this was what made the biggest difference to TechM. We went that we are intentionally diverse. We wanted to be a company that is intentionally diverse. And therefore, what we did was, we built a diverse workforce of cobots, which are cognitive robots, and human beings. And as I said, 60%, 200 robots work for the people function, and only 60 people in human beings were there.
That's right, Harsh. If you remember, in 2019, way back, we were told that we needed to improve our diversity quotient desperately. And I'm sure there are conversations that happened in 2019 that insisted we change that diversity ratio. From being an area of improvement to becoming a competitive edge, to having a competitive edge in diversity, we've come a long, long way in 2025. So it's no longer about gender, it's no longer about generation, it's about the power of cobots and working together with them. So we've had a huge.
Well, thank you for reminding us. Yes, Vrinda, that's right. We were still talking about gender diversity in 2018-19, and now we actually changed the whole paradigm to talk about diversity as cobots and human beings, because that became a reality and cut our costs. While we continuously evolved, remember, we kept one thing intact, which is our culture statement. We still have deep impact. We drive positive change on our stakeholders. We celebrate each movement. We still empower all to rise. And that never changed. And I think that was the biggest thing that we said we will not change. We will continue to drive positive change, celebrate each movement, and empower all to rise. So, because of that, we were ranked #1 as the most irresistible, purposeful company to work for globally. And I think that made a big difference, because customers recognize this as something quite unique. So this was the agenda really of the call for action in 2019. And this is how we helped all of us and all of the business leaders achieve their escape velocity and their goals. So that was what the people function attempted to do. Thank you very much, and welcome to 2025 of Tech Mahindra. You have questions? Vikram just got up, I think.
Yeah, Harsh, I was there in 2019. I'm not sure if I was there in 2025, but I remember you were trying to get a budget to change from PeopleSoft to some other technology for HR. And Rakesh Soni and L. Ravi didn't approve that. So how did you achieve all that technology changes?
We just bought the company. It came free.
Boss, Harsh, is the presenter a robo?
There's a red light that has to come.
Yeah, red light has come here. Is the presenter a robo with pagadi?
Yeah, there is.
And remember in 2020 when we did the annual conference, we took some of the hecklers out. Who were hecklers in 2019?
And did the name change to CHR, cobots and human resources?
No, we said people function. We didn't say HR at all. So firstly, it was not the HR function, and the biggest change that happened was that it was an integrated function. And Vikram Nair got a job rotation into the people function for some time in 2019.
Oh, that's why it went to a gig economy.
So people are extremely happy with 2025. They want a few flashback scenes to 2019.
So the entire call for action is 2019. And I know there was a gentleman called L. Ravichandran. He really supported us. And I think a big change that happened was that we got increments on time, thanks to L. Ravi in 2019. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
One thing, here, right in front. Everywhere on the ground, performance appraisals completed on time has been very well received from the grassroots, so thank you.
Thank you very much. I think the credit goes to all of you, because, as I always said, this had to happen through the leaders, because it was not HR doing the appraisals, it was all the leaders. So I think you all deserve a big round of applause, because it definitely is something quite unique. So thank you. In fact, all the HR folks want to thank you for all the effort that you guys put in. So thank you very much, and thank you.